Hey there, is this Renee, the woman engaged to a man named Frank?
Who is this?
I bet that right now you're starting to get concerned that your groom hasn't shown up for your wedding yet, am I right? You don't need to answer, I'm totally right.
If you don't tell me who you are, I'm just going to block your number. So you have about 10 seconds to do that before I just dismiss you as some troll.
Someone's grumpy. I'm Millie. I'm a 19-year-old college student, and today I'm gonna become the luckiest girl in the world when I get married to Frank.
What? What do you mean? Is this a prank?
Oh, I know what you're thinking, but I'm the one who's marrying Frank today. But too bad for you. Frank and I have been seeing each other for 6 months now. And today, we're finally going to get married. We're having a private ceremony for just the two of us, where we'll pledge our endless love for one another. In other words, he's not gonna come to your ceremony, so don't bother waiting for him. Now, I bet you're just about to start crying bitter tears of anger, jealousy, and sadness over this, so I recommend you go ahead and tell all your guests to go home before things start getting really ugly.
Millie? Are you the Millie who started working part-time at our company this year?
Yep, that's me.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me know the situation.
What's with that reaction?
Were you expecting something else?
Oh, I think I get it. You knew this was coming, didn't you? You had already resigned to the fact that Frank would end up leaving you eventually anyway, huh? That's probably for the best. You're nowhere near good enough for him. After all, you're a 41-year-old woman who's never been married. You have to know that no man would ever really want you. Aw, it's gonna be really hard for you to find a husband at your age, huh? I almost feel bad for you. Almost, but not quite. Sorry I'm such a bad girl and took your fiancé from you, but really, think about it. I think I speak for everyone in the world when I say this, but who the hell would want to go to some old hag's wedding? Gross! I bet your fat rolls are pouring out of your white dress. And at your age, there is no way you would ever be able to have kids. I could go on, but I think I've said enough for now. It's clear that Frank will be way happier with a 19-year-old college girl like me than a dried-up old hag like you. I'm 19, you're 41. The choice is clear. It's like, what would you rather have? A fresh-baked loaf of bread or one that's been getting moldy beneath the fridge for 41 years? Oh, and in this analogy, you're the moldy bread.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to me, or are you finished?
What's the matter? You starting to tear up now?
I have some business to attend to, and I was just about to step outside. Thanks to you, that business just increased tenfold, so if it's all right with you, we can go ahead and end this conversation here, and I'll go on about my day.
What are you talking about? Oh, I see. Now you've got to go tell everyone waiting for you in the chapel that your fiancé left you standing at the altar because you're a dried-up old granny.
No, that's not it.
Oh, you mean no one was actually in the chapel anyway? It's like I said, who would want to see your cellulite-ridden carcass wearing a strapless dress? They'd lose their lunch for sure. Okay, well, I'll let you go and drink your sorrows away. Have a good time. As for me, I'm gonna go and exchange wedding vows with my hubby-to-be, Frank. Wedded bliss, here I come. So long, Granny. Don't forget to take your Alzheimer's meds today. How goes the wine binge, you lonely old hag?
I have a name, and it's Renee. Use it. If you're 19, then you're old enough to know what is and is not an acceptable way to speak to someone. Frank's mother, your future mother-in-law, will no doubt be on your case constantly about how you speak around her. And if you're really intent on marrying him, I think you'd better prepare yourself mentally right now for what you're about to get yourself into.
You're unreal. What are you doing here, trying to prove to me that you know Frank better than me? That you love him more than me? Well, I'm really sorry to break this to you. Actually, I'm not sorry at all. But I have a very, very important announcement to make. Would you like to hear it? Would you?
I'm very busy, so make it quick.
Just a few minutes ago, Frank and I were officially joined in the bonds of holy matrimony. We're married!
Wow. Already?
Yeah, already. Do you see now? That's how much Frank and I are in love with each other. Being married at 19 is the best. None of my friends are married. They're all gonna be super jealous when I tell them. Plus, that's definitely gonna put me ahead socially with the other girls on campus. I can just be like, step aside, girlfriend, I've got a husband.
I can only hope that it goes that well for you.
Please, keep it coming, keep it coming. I want to take in all of your bitter jealousy. Oh, and guess what else? I'm gonna move into Frank's awesome high-rise condo tonight.
Ah, I see. So that's what you were after. Frank's 38, just 3 years apart from me, but we're both more than twice your age. I was curious what on earth you would possibly see in him, but everything makes sense now.
Like I said, Granny, just keep it coming. I can taste the bitterness in each and every one of your texts.
I think you ought to know, however, that the condo Frank lives in actually belongs to your father-in-law.
Oh, really? Huh, that's weird. But whatever. I don't care whose name is on the title as long as I get to enjoy my lovey-dovey time with my new hubby, Frank.
Wow. You're something else, Millie. Not many people would willingly march straight into the gates of hell like you're doing right now. I commend your bravery.
Huh? What do you mean, the gates of hell?
But hey, if you're happy with that, then more power to you.
Hold on, what are you talking about? You're kind of freaking me out now.
Best of luck in your married life. You'll need it.
Boy, that was a whole lot of nothing. What were you acting so weird for anyway? His condo was totally normal. Frank and I had a wonderful first night as man and wife. I guess you were just trying to scare me or something. What a loser. You are so super jealous that I get Frank and you get to die alone. Now I know that I was concerned about nothing, so you can't bother me anymore. So seriously, can you grow up and move on? I know you're probably never gonna completely get over it, but I don't want you to be constantly trying to interfere with our marriage, got it? You're gonna have to face facts eventually, so you might as well do it now. You are never gonna have Frank. It is never going to happen. You read me? Never. Never. It is over. Okay, I'm gonna go back and do a little more smooching with Frankie now. Toodles! Oh my god, being a bride at 19 is the best thing I've ever done. Like, bar none. I just announced on Instagram that I got married and started my life in a high-rise condo, and I am getting swarmed with likes. My phone is totally blowing up with notifications. All the other girls are super jealous of me. You should look up my Instagram account. Do you want me to tell you my username? I've got a ton of adorable pictures of me in my wedding dress. I look fantastic. It'll show you what you could have had if you were young and beautiful like me, and not old and dried up like you. Renee, what is going on here?
I have no idea. You tell me.
Frank's parents just got here. Frank's mom came right up to him and gave him a huge kiss on the cheek and called him her little Frankie Poo. I thought that was gross, but then Frank called his mom Mommy. He actually called her Mommy.
Oh.
And then it gets worse. Frank said that his parents are gonna live together with us starting today. But that's not even all. Frank and his mom are gonna sleep together in the bedroom? And I'm gonna have to sleep on the living room couch. I've heard of mama's boys, but what the hell? Frank is 38.
Let me guess. Frank's dad just looks at the two of them being an absolute gross fest, shakes his head, laughs, and pretends it's just some cute mother-son affection, right?
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. And why didn't he tell me anything about his parents living with us?
Well, if you don't like the situation, you could always divorce him.
Don't be stupid. I can't divorce him. I just announced to my Instagram followers that I got married yesterday. I'm not going to be a divorced woman at 19.
You don't want to spend your youthful years getting nauseous at the sight of that giant mama's boy living out an Oedipus complex, do you?
But if I get divorced, my social value as a woman is going to plummet.
Well, you know your options. The choice is up to you. And don't say I didn't warn you. I told you that you were marching straight towards the gates of hell, didn't I?
Well,
I told you that the condo Frank lives in is actually your father-in-law's. His parents run a pretty big real estate company, and thanks to them, Frank is able to live in condos and apartments that would ordinarily be way, way too far above his means.
You knew about that?
And it was precisely the mother-son relationship that's making you sick to your stomach right now that got me to break off our engagement 2 weeks ago.
Wait, what? You broke off your engagement 2 weeks ago?
Yep, 2 weeks ago. We both joined our company at roughly the same time around 20 years ago. So we worked together on a lot of projects, and eventually he asked me out on a date. His work was pretty good, and he seemed like a trustworthy guy, so I agreed, and we started dating. But then one fateful day, I was unfortunate enough to witness exactly how close his relationship with his mother was when I walked into the condo unexpectedly, and, well, after that, I just could never look at him the same way again.
Wow.
When I very honestly told him and his mother exactly how I felt about their relationship and why I was breaking off the engagement, his mother lost it. She told me that she had chosen me, an older woman, to care for him just like she always did. And she chose you, Millie, to fulfill his desires since you were younger and prettier than me. The last thing she ever said to me was, "Fine, I knew you would never be enough to give him what he really needs, me. And if you're not going to look after him for me, then I'll just have to take care of Frank myself." Oh, and by the way, it was that little slip-up by her that made me aware of your relationship with Frank, so you have his mother to thank for that, too.
Oh, no.
And that was my first reason for breaking off the engagement, his disgusting relationship with his mother.
So, wait, what happened to your wedding yesterday?
What wedding? We canceled it a long time ago, obviously.
But didn't you say that you had a lot more work to do because of me? I thought you meant that you had a lot of work to do to cancel the wedding. You know, call the venue, the caterer, the band, all that stuff.
No, that's not what I meant at all. I was just so appalled that my ex-fiance's mistress would so brazenly announce herself to me like you did that I decided to move up the timeline of the punishment I was planning for you. I had to get a last-minute appointment with my lawyer. I was lucky he was free that morning.
What do you need a lawyer for?
Which brings me to the second reason I broke off the engagement. As I told you a short while ago, I was aware that you had some sort of relationship with my ex-fiancé for some time before you texted me to rub your marriage to Frank in my face. What I didn't know was that your relationship had been going on for as much as 6 months, and that it was going on behind my back while we were engaged. In other words, that you were actually having an affair.
Yeah, well, so what?
I had been trying to get some hard evidence of exactly how long your relationship had been going on and how far you had gone because I couldn't move forward without it. But thanks to you, I now have all the evidence I could have ever hoped for. I'm going to sue the two of you for your affair.
You can't sue me. You weren't even married yet. That's not an affair.
Actually, as being engaged is, in legal terms, a contract, you could say that it's a form of tortious interference, but yes, I can sue you. My lawyer hasn't calculated the final amount yet, but you should prepare yourself to be hit for something in the realm of the low 5-digit range.
What? You can't do this to me!
You have only yourself to blame for getting involved with an engaged man. I think the paperwork should be ready within the next few days, so you'll be hearing from my lawyer shortly. I do recommend you do exactly as he says. Fighting this will only make matters worse for you.
This can't be happening. I don't have that kind of money. I'm still in college.
Millie's parents had divorced and were both remarried to different people, and they had effectively cut Millie out of their lives. Ultimately, Frank's parents had to foot the bill for both my lawsuit against him and the one against Millie. With nowhere else to turn, Millie had no choice but to accept her new position in life, living together in that condo with Frank and his parents. However, one day it seems that Frank's father finally had enough of being a third wheel for his wife and son and told his family that he wanted a divorce. And since the condo was in his name, his wife and son had no say in the matter, so he promptly kicked them all out onto the curb. At the same time, Frank, who was enjoying his life married to a woman half his age, made a massive mistake on a project that cost the company millions of dollars. This led to the discovery of years of malfeasance from him, so he was unceremoniously fired. So now we find Millie in the situation of dealing with her psychotic mother-in-law and newly unemployed husband, who is also 20 years her senior. Frank was facing criminal charges for his malfeasance at his old job, so his employment prospects were less than zero. His mother was far too busy waiting on him hand and foot to even think about getting a job herself. In the end, Millie had to drop out of college and get multiple part-time jobs in order to support the three of them.
Hannah, when are you going to be quitting that job of yours?
What's that? Hello, Sandy. Why are you asking me when I'll quit my job?
I'm sure you're just working that job so that you have enough money to spend all you want on fancy things, right?
Not really. I'm just working because I want to save money for the future, and I also happen to really like the kind of work I do.
But it's not okay for a woman like you to be working, so quit that job at once.
It's not okay for a woman like me? Right now is the best time for my husband and I to both be working at the same time. I'm not saying that I don't want to become a housewife at some point, but Robin and I both talked about this before we got married, and we decided it would be best that we both work full-time jobs so that we have enough money for the future. That's why at this point in time, it's not an option for me to be quitting my job.
Hannah, listen to me. The way you're speaking to me right there is really showing me how self-centered you really are deep down.
Self-centered?
Do you have a problem with the money your husband is making, and that's why you're choosing to work still?
I never said I had any issues with his income.
Well, then please quit that job. Quit that job right now and become his housewife.
I cannot do that right now.
If you go against my word here, you are making yourself look worse and worse.
So you're telling me the only way to look good as Robin's wife is to become a housewife?
That's right. Now stop asking me questions to the obvious.
By the way, have you talked with Robin himself about how you view me working this job?
I don't have to go and talk with him about it because he already knows. That young man came from a house where his mother was a housewife and took care of the home. So he knows exactly what I want out of his wife, and he expects you to become that way. Right now, he should be thinking about all the things he could be having you do for him as his housewife. I'm sure of that.
You think so? Well, no matter what else you have to say to me, I'm going to have a word with Robin before making any decisions. Please allow me some time to talk with him.
Hannah? I just finished up work and am on the bus home.
I hope you had a good day today, Robin.
Hey, listen. Did you really have a conversation with my mom today about quitting your job?
What?
When I had a look at my phone after work, I saw that my mom had texted me saying that she spoke to you about it.
Wait. We did talk about it, but it was a one-sided conversation with her just telling me over and over to quit my job. I was trying to get her to understand that you and I both agreed to work, but she just wouldn't have it. So in the end, I said to her that I'd have to speak with you before making any final decisions.
What the heck? So that's what happened there. She was making it seem as though you were going to quit your job and there was no changing your mind about it. And that led me to wondering about what had happened that made you change your mind about everything so suddenly.
Sorry if this got you all worked up in any way. I had started to talk with your mom while I was on break at work, but I couldn't speak with her for very long because it was towards the end of my break. So I was going to have a word with you at home first and then get back in touch again with her to talk.
But why did my mom end up sending me this text making it sound as though you're going to quit?
Because your mom seems to think that you want the same thing as her, that being me quitting my job and becoming your housewife.
What?
When she said that to me, I told her that I'd have to talk with you first before deciding what to do next. She must be expecting you to think the same thing as her and say no to me working a job any longer. And that's why she made it seem as though I already was going to quit. Understand?
Yeah, I understand. But I can't believe this. Can you show me those texts from her later on? If it seems things aren't going to get any better, I'm going to have to get my dad involved and have him take care of my mom.
Do you feel as though your mom is more serious about this than I thought?
That depends on what she's said to you. If I have the chance, I want my dad to take a look at those texts from her as well.
Your dad as well?
Recently, my dad has seemed pretty worried about something. I still haven't really talked with him about anything, but the last time I was over at my parents' house, he had this expression on his face like he had something he wanted to tell me.
I see. I'll have all these messages from her printed out so that you can take them over to your dad.
Thank you, Hannah. That would help me out a lot. Hannah? I had a talk with my dad.
Hey, Robin. How did that talk go?
This is what my dad had to say about the whole you and I both working jobs while being husband and wife thing. He says that the only reason why my mom would be so against it is because when she married my dad, she was very young and never had a chance to start working. She kind of forced his hand in letting her become a housewife. But that was only possible because he received a promotion around that time and made decent money. Had my dad been closer to my mom's age when getting married, she most definitely would have been working a job as well.
Now that you mention it, your mom never really worked anywhere before she became a housewife, right?
That's what it sounds like. I've even heard that she never worked a part-time job before.
I see. I have something to say, by the way. I'm not saying I want to quit my job or anything, but I've thought of something.
And that is?
It's about how I work from here on out.
Ah, you're bringing back up what you and I talked about a while back.
So you remember that then?
Well, of course I do. I think what you have in mind is totally fine. Things have only become more stable since then, and since that's something you've always had on your mind, I think this is the perfect time for it.
Thank you, Robin.
Anyway, my dad thinks Mom is very serious about having you quit your job and become a housewife. When I get home later, we can talk more about that in detail. I'll make sure to be home when you get home from work.
All right, sounds good.
Hannah, have you still not quit your job yet?
What?
This is about what we had talked about 2 weeks ago. Didn't you say you were going to talk with Robin about it? He thinks the exact same thing as I do on this subject, and that means he should have told you that if you don't quit your job soon, he's going to divorce you.
You really think so? Well, I wouldn't want to be divorced, so I'm going to go ahead and quit my company job.
Good, good, good. Oh, thank you for going ahead and doing that. And from now on, don't you ever go against my word again.
But consider this the end of your monthly allowance from us.
What? What are you talking about? What allowance?
Mom, allow me to explain this monthly allowance that had just been brought up to you.
Robin, tell me right now what Hannah was talking about.
A little while ago, I was talking with Dad when he told me that things were not going too well at your guys' house, and he asked for our help. So, myself and Hannah decided that starting this month, we'd be sending him $700 a month in order to help out with your guys' financial situation there.
I never heard about any of that.
Dad told me he talked with you about it, but you kept dozing off and acting like he wasn't being serious.
But why? Why would he need...
Because you and all your terrible spending habits have been destroying all the money Dad has worked tirelessly to save up.
What?
Dad had said that his package from the company he'd been with was pretty large, and that he also would be getting retirement funds every year thereafter. And yes, I understand that he was making a decent living in that company, and at the time he was working, he could afford to deal with your spending. But now that he's retired, there isn't that constant flow of money anymore, and all he has are his savings and his retirement. Yet you never listened to him when he spoke to you about cutting back on spending all his money, and now things have gotten worse. Dad had come to us with great shame because he felt embarrassed to be asking his son and his son's wife for financial help.
But he should still have a lot of other money in his retirement funds.
And that was all money he wanted to keep around until you guys both became really old and needed the money for medical bills and such. But ever since he retired from his job, he's watched as that money slowly started to drain away at your hands.
What?
Dad had showed me all of his accounts and the transaction history for all of them. And from what I could tell, the credit card transactions were quite frequent, and taking more out of his accounts than he had. When you think about the kind of money one would want as they're in the later stages of their life, what remains in there is too small of an amount.
Oh, there's no way.
To be honest, I think Dad has been too kind to you. If he'd really wanted to stop you from spending all that money, he could have shut off all your credit cards or asked the bank to change his PIN number. There were plenty of things he could have done to stop you. But he didn't do anything and had to come out to his son and son's wife to ask for help. That's why I went ahead and told him. I went ahead and told him that he needed to get a grip on his wife because there should be no reason you're telling my wife not to work a job when it's her job that's giving you guys money. With just my income alone, Hannah and I would be living on the edge, just barely having enough to play with. But if I had to start sending you guys $700 as well, I wouldn't be able to support myself and Hannah anymore. And I'm not kidding when I say that either. Because we wouldn't only not be able to save any money on my income then, but we literally would not be able to buy food or pay all the house's bills. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mom? Because I had to go and tell Dad that already.
What?
When I said that to him, he was shocked. He had no idea that you were trying to get Hannah to quit her job that badly. Then I went and showed him all the messages you were sending to Hannah a while back.
What? You went and showed him all those messages?
Yes, and even the messages you were sending her just a second ago.
Wait, does that mean he's with you right now?
Yup. And now that he's seen so much of what you've done, he's finally come around to understanding just how badly he's spoiled you. And that's why he's telling me right now that we don't have to send an allowance after all.
What?
Therefore, if you don't stop those bad spending habits of yours, there will be hell to pay. And Dad most definitely will not be helping you there.
Hell to pay?
You should understand more than anyone what I mean by that. All I have left to say is that you'd better start thinking about a way to stop those bad habits of yours, or else.
My bad habits?
That's right. I don't want you whining to Hannah or myself later about her not leaving her job like you'd been asking. So I'll let you know this now. Hannah really has gone and quit her company job.
What?
But that doesn't mean she'll be coming home to be my housewife. Hannah had been trying to run her own side hustle for a while now, but wasn't making a whole lot of money off it, and so she had to keep with her company job. But since it's been a while now and she's saved up a lot of money from her company job, she can now leave that job and work full-time doing the side hustle.
She had a side hustle? How much is she making now?
Ever since she started to go big with that side hustle, she's been making more than me.
What was that? She's making more than her own husband.
Are you aware now why her and I decided that we'd both continue to work even after getting married?
Are you really okay with her making more than you? Do you know what others will start to say about you when they hear that you have to have your wife working as well and making more than you to live?
I'm not sure where you've been getting your news from, Mom, but in this day and age, it's normal for married couples to both be working. I think you should be ridiculed more than anything else for saying something like that.
But
Dad is getting ready to head back home now. You'd better be all ears for what he has to say.
Robin, your father's gone and divorced me.
Right. I heard about that already. He yelled at you saying he'd had enough, right? And I thought you had finally learned your lesson a couple of days ago. You bought 3 neckties online, each costing $1,000?
Yeah, that's right. I was told to fix my bad spending habits, right? So I thought about them for a bit, and that's when I thought to myself, what you all meant is for me to spend a little bit more on your father from now on. So I was thinking something useful, like a necktie.
Something useful like a necktie? Aren't you aware that Dad is retired now and won't really be using things like neckties anymore? Jesus Christ, Mom. That wasn't even what Dad and I meant when we told you to rethink your spending habits.
What? That wasn't what you both meant?
I have no idea what to do with you anymore.
Then what did you both mean?
Dad wanted you to think of all that by yourself with the hopes you'd figure it out. So I'm not going to give you the answer.
Robin!
The divorce has already happened, right? Well then, this is the perfect time for us to cut ties as well.
Why would you want that?
Because I want to protect my wife.
Why do you think I'd be of any danger to her?
There have already been plenty of reasons as to why, so stop asking.
What are you talking about, Robin?
Just think about it. Anyway, goodbye forever.
Robin!
My father-in-law took all the credit cards he had given Sandy away from her and was going to watch and see if that helped with her poor spending habits. However, just 2 days after doing so, 3 neckties arrived in the mail that she had ordered online with his saved credit card information. She had all of those credit cards saved to her phone and on all of those online stores and could access them at any time. Realizing that there was really no helping the woman, he went and had her sign the divorce papers before taking them to the courthouse all in the same day. He made sure to contact a moving company to get all of his things from the house and is now living with Robin and I at our place. He told us that he'd have the house sold soon and would use that money, along with whatever he had left in his savings, to move someplace else. But neither Robin or I want him living on his own, so we've told him to sell the house and use the money on things he wants while staying with us. And by the way,
When I say that he came to live in our house, he did so without ever telling Sandy anything about what he was doing or where he was going. And so when Sandy tried to go and find him, she was not able to find her answer of where he had moved to. We all still feared that at some point she'd learn his whereabouts, and so we called Sandy's little brother, told him about what all had happened, and the next day he was at her house taking her away to go work for his company. Right now we've been told that she's working a 9-to-5 at her little brother's call center and living at home with him and his wife while crying and whining all the time. She is planning on moving out of there soon. When that happens, I think even her brother will cut ties to her, putting an end to her reign of terror within our families. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.